Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Her dog pulled the leash as it barked toward the nearby patch of bushes. It had seldom done this before on their walks, but this time its bark sounded urgent and alarmed. She pulled the leash as she chastised the dog, just as the bushes began to rustle. Suddenly the large black head of a bear protruded from the brush, and it studied the woman briefly, with beady-eyed suspicion. Without warning, the bear lumbered from cover and bounded toward the woman and her dog, sending them both into a startled panic of screaming, barking, and attempts to get out of its way. The woman stared into the bear's open mouth as it got closer, and she knew there was no escaping what was coming. She cowered in hopes of avoiding the pain and injury, but the bear had made up its mind. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Just north of the town of Squamish and south of Breckendale, where the glacial waters of the Squamish River spill into the Pacific, there's a place where land, tide, and mountain shadow weave together like the edges of a quilt. The Squamish Estuary Wildlife Management Area is a rare kind of wild, a patchwork of salt marshes, sedge meadows, that breathe in the ocean air and exhale the scent of cedar and rain, in full view of nearby human development. Western red cedar, black cottonwood, and Sitka spruce dominate these lowlands, with tangled underbrush of salmonberry, huckleberry, and red elderberry, filling the quiet spaces beneath. In autumn the air grows heavy with the sweetness of ripened berries, the ground slick with fallen leaves, and the stillness broke only by the cry of a gull or the ripple of a salmon-laden creek. Here deer browse along the short grasses, and black bears move like living shadows among the alder trunks, feeding with urgency before the long sleep of winter. Coastal wolves occasionally pad across the flats while bald eagles circle above in patient predatory silence. The estuary is a crossroads, where people, pets, and wildlife coexist uneasily, and where a single wrong step can set instinct against instinct. On October 8, 2025, a woman whom we will refer to as Ruby was walking her dog, whom we will refer to as Jade, in the estuary trail system. This walk was part of a routine the pair had developed, a kind of therapy to rid themselves of the stress and pains of life. The trails weave between forest and tide. She may have walked these same paths hundreds of times, her dog sniffing the reeds, chasing the occasional gull, both of them confident in their territory. Whether she carried bear spray or a firearm is unknown, but most walkers in Squamish coastal zones don't, especially when the town's coffee shops and waterfront homes are visible just beyond the trailhead. Perhaps she felt a false sense of safety, so close to civilization. Perhaps, too, the dog's enthusiasm carried it a few steps ahead into the brush, where scents linger in a secret language that only animals can interpret. Squamish lies within a pocket of land constantly negotiating the boundaries between human settlement and wild persistence. The town has grown rapidly in recent years, its trails and neighborhoods pressing into traditional wildlife corridors. The Squamish Estuary itself has been at the center of ecological debate for decades, restoration on one side, recreation on the other. Environmental stressors compound the tension. In 2025, a mild autumn, followed by a dry fruit-rich summer, allowing berry-bearing shrubs, like huckleberry and salmonberry, to linger late into the season. That abundance kept black bears active far longer than usual, delaying denning and drawing mothers with cubs closer to the valley floor. Add to that an increase in dog walkers, mountain bikers, and tourists chasing fall colors, and the equation becomes dangerously simple. More people in bear country at a time when bears are still feeding and protective. And known bear territory is being unexpectedly expanded as they scour the new areas for untapped food sources. The woman and her dog move quietly along a narrow section of the trail, where reeds and young willows crowd close on both sides. The tide was low, and the sounds of gulls mixed with the faint drumming of woodpeckers in the trees beyond. Perhaps the possibilities were ordinary, a routine walk, a quick stop to adjust a leash, maybe a moment to watch an eagle gliding over the flats. Somewhere in that stillness, a sow black bear and her cubs were feeding. Maybe they were tearing into the last of the salmon berries, or rooting through the soil for grubs. The wind may have shifted just enough for the bear to catch the scent of the dog, or perhaps the dog saw movement first and pulled forward, curiosity overwhelming caution. It's possible the bear reacted not out of hunger, but out of instinct, a protective reflex hardwired by instinct. In the dense patch of willows and bushes, Jade began earnestly barking and pulling at her leash as Ruby fought to control her. It wasn't uncommon to see a raccoon along the trail, but Jade's intense reaction told Ruby that something more serious was going on. As the bushes rustled, Ruby stared on, hoping to see a deer emerge in flight, but was greeted with the intense eyes of a black bear sow, meticulously examining her from only a few yards away. The standoff didn't last long before the bear bounded a few yards and attacked Ruby and Jade. The power of the bear was irresistible as it knocked Ruby to the ground and onto her back. Now at the mercy of the angry sow, Ruby knew something painful awaited her in the coming moments. In a brief but intense attack, the bear savaged Ruby, biting and swatting her, punching holes in her flesh and ripping gashes wherever its claws touched. Jade barked and bawled, trying to help her human get free, but the bear kept her at bay before breaking off the attack. Searching for her cubs, the angry sow beat a hasty retreat into cover, leaving Ruby wounded, bleeding, and in pain, but alive. After a few moments of confusion, Ruby pulled herself together and climbed back to her feet. Carefully testing her balance and strength, she made her way out of the estuary and back to safety. Reaching out to medical responders, she arranged for medics to meet her and transport her to the hospital for treatment. Medical specialists there cleaned and closed her wounds, which were labeled as non-life-threatening, and categorized her as stable but serious condition. As Ruby received medical help, the British Columbia Conservation Officer Service responded quickly, closing sections of the Squamish Estuary Trail network and issuing a warning for residents to keep dogs leashed and avoid the area. Wildlife officers determined the attack was defensive, a mother protecting her cubs rather than a bear seeking prey. There was no animal carcass cached nearby. The bear was reacting defensively to protect herself and her cubs from a perceived threat. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to episodes, photos, and notes. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Reports do not indicate whether the sow or her cubs were relocated or monitored afterward, leaving open the question of their fate. As for Jade, there were no reports of injuries to her, nor her status. She likely received at least minor injuries in the tangle with the mama bear, but there is no source indicating that. Black bears are abundant across British Columbia, with provincial estimates suggesting more than 100,000 individuals. The sea-to-sky region, stretching from North Vancouver through Whistler to Pemberton, hosts one of the densest concentrations of human-bear interactions in Canada. The Squamish area in particular reports dozens of bear conflicts each year, most of them involving attractants, like garbage or unsecured compost. Wildlife officials note that defensive attacks by sows with cubs are the most commonly documented in coastal BC. The combination of late-season food availability, dogs off leash, and shrinking wild habitat creates a predictable pattern that repeats year after year. The Squamish Estuary attack fits this model almost perfectly, close to town, in rich berry habitat, during an extended feeding season. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. What compels a sow to stay so close to human pathways when mountains and forests lie only minutes away? Was this sow seeking the protection of human development from aggressive boar bears who would kill her cub on sight? Could more proactive management, such as seasonal trail closures or bear awareness patrols, prevent these recurring conflicts? The estuary still ripples with tidewater and bird song, as if nothing had happened. But for one woman and one mother bear, that October morning left a mark, a brief, violent crossing of paths that reminds everyone who shares this space to remain alert and prepared. I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comment section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.